Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm going to try to remember to post the video that I'm talking about in the description. Dr. John Delony works with Ramsey Solutions, and Ramsey is a finance expert, and Dr. John Delony is super educated. He's a therapist, counselor. He's got master's degree, 2 PhDs, 20 years in counseling, I believe. I will post all of that in the description also. Super smart man, and you call in and he resolves your problem on air. It's a podcast. It's called Dr. John Delony, Delony, Dr. John Delony, I believe is how you spell it. He said something that I was like, thank you very much. Hello. So you guys know I got rid of a friend recently. Oh, excuse me. Got rid of a friend recently, so-called friend. Not really a friend at all. Just turned into a liar, even though he swore up and down he don't lie because he would never remember his lies. How would you know that you wouldn't remember them if you don't lie? Is what Lee said, who's mental illness. He's a narcissist and he helps other people. He doesn't try to destroy other people like other narcissists do. And, he became a liar, became a sex hound, was always a sex hound, but kind of tapered it off. But every now and then it would resurface and it would get on my nerves. Women get hunted for that all the time. Why can't you be different and not be a pig? Okay? Be unique. There's nothing wrong with being different. In fact, that's refreshing when you're different. And became extremely argumentative to the point where my opinion was irrelevant. If that's how you get women to get hot for you, you need to go back to the drawing board because that doesn't work. Okay? Argumentative to the 1000th degree. And I got tired of it. I got sick and damn tired. Everything that came out of my mouth was an argument. Typical narcissistic behavior. Argumentative, argumentative, argumentative over any and every little thing there is. If you are seeing someone like this, or you have a so-called friend like this, you might want to reevaluate, reevaluate if you want to continue to be tight with this person, because when someone argues you about everything, they don't give a damn about your opinion. They don't give a damn about you. They give a damn about, it's all about me and what I think. Even if I'm dead wrong, I'm going to still argue, because that's how stupid narcissists are. And John said on his show, the one that I'm going to post, oh my goodness. Oh, excuse me. He said, oh, your mom is seeing, like her husband died, and she's seeing one of his friends who happens to be married and is just kind of throwing the family in a tizzy. And Dr. John said to the guy caller that it's his mom, and John said, well, how long was it that, after your stepdad died, how long was it before she started dating? And he said 3 months. He goes, wow. That's kind of quick. It's kind of soon. And I'm like, exactly. Now, my ex-friend, before I cut his ass off, we were talking about that. And I said, I had talked to a guy online who he was married for 20 something years and she died of cancer. And 3 months later, he was over it. And I said, that's not normal. And he said, yes, it is. And John has a hell of a lot more education than him any day of the week. And I'm going to listen to what John says, not some dumbass horn dog. Okay? 3 months is fast. I don't give a shit who you are. It's fast. And John also said, now if she called here, I would be compassionate with her because I'm sure she's, in a place of, excuse me, sorry guys, in a place of loneliness and, heartbreak and the whole bit. He would try to encourage her to wait at least 6 months. But here, previous friend dumbass, it's perfectly normal he don't have education the first. But it's perfectly normal for you to be over your 20-year marriage or your long-term marriage after 3 months or sooner. That's just totally normal. Where does he get that from? It sounds asinine and stupid. And if I died and I'm married, I'm married and I died, and that person decided to start dating 3 months after I'm gone, I'm probably going to haunt them. It's just out of line. It's just a little bit out of line. It's really quick. Really, really, really quick. And when John said it, I'm like, thank you. That's what I was saying. You over a long-term marriage in like a minute? 3 months is a minute, practically. A long minute, but I'm just saying. Now you're over it? Wow. But here, dumbass, it's perfectly normal. Again, he don't have education the first. He don't have an associate's degree. He don't have a bachelor's degree. He don't have a master's degree. He don't have a PhD. As a matter of fact, John has 2 PhDs. He can't hold a candle to this man's knowledge, but he thinks he knows everything. These are grounds for dismissal. Okay? Grounds for dismissal. It doesn't matter if you're friends with this person, if they are a family member, or you are seeing this person, or whatever the case is. Constantly arguing, making yourself look like a dumbass is not something that people want to put up with. They really don't. And as I've told you guys before, I had an argument with someone which was completely asinine. He's a narcissist also. And he said, we were talking about the shot. And I said, I don't think getting a second opinion is going to really matter when this person was having issues. This other person was having issues as a result of it, because this is a common thing across the country. And he came out to the left side of his ignorant neck and said, do you have a medical degree? I said, and I was kind of stunned by that because he had never acted that ignorant before. And after I recovered from that split second of stupidity, I said, no, but I listened to the people who do have a medical degree. We could actually do that argument about anything. You and somebody are walking in the woods, and they say, I love these black-eyed Susans, which are flowers. They're yellow with I don't know if it's black or brown. I guess it's black-eyed. It might be black. The middle is black. Thus the name. I love these black-eyed Susans. If the person with you is a narcissistic, argumentative asswipe, they're going to be like, how do you know that's a black-eyed Susan? Do you have a degree in whatever it's called when you know everything about plants? I forget what it's called. I mean, we could do that about anything and everything. We could argue and look like an ass while doing it. You could say, I love this shirt. I mean, I love the material and everything. I could tell it's mostly cotton and I really like that. Do you have a fashion degree? Because if you don't know nothing about that shirt and what it's made of or how good quality it is. You have to have a degree in everything in order to like something, which is totally, like I said, narcissistic people will make themselves look so brainless by arguing. Their argument doesn't hold water in a bucket, but they will argue to the death because it's a superiority thing. I have to be above you. I have to belittle your experiences. I have to belittle you as a person. Your opinion is irrelevant and stupid. My opinion, even though it's stupider, it's better than yours. Okay? These are grounds for dismissal. Once the nice costume is no longer there and the mask falls off and you find out that they are not the easy to get along person that you thought they were, now everything is a goddamn flippin' argument, that's grounds for dismissal. As in you dump the person. I don't care if it's family, friend, it don't matter. Someone you're dating, grounds for dismissal. Because when you see this behavior, it's going to get worse. Then they're going to get to the point where they do it in front of other people, your family, you're all having a barbecue, and they question your knowledge in front of the entire family to try to embarrass you. We're not going deeper with this. You're going to get out of here. That's one way for me to get my foot in your ass. Enough is enough. Caring, loving, non-narcissistic, non-toxic people do not do that. They respect you. They respect your opinion. They may not like black-eyed Susans like you do, but they appreciate the fact that you appreciate it. Okay? There's a massive difference in the response of a healthy person versus a nasty-ass, toxic-ass know-it-all. Not only did this fool argue me that you should be over your marriage in 5 minutes, and that's totally normal. Maybe in his world, because he can't commit to no damn body. He could commit to grinding on you. He could commit to taking your clothes off. That he could commit to. He was married and had no business getting married. He got married in the heat of the moment because his dad died and he was emotional and he decided to make a massive decision in the middle of grief and he had no business doing that. You don't make massive decisions in the middle of something huge that just happened because you're in the heat of your emotions and the dumbass got married. He's not marriage material. He's addicted to helping everyone else. So he will get out of his bed. I don't know why his wife put up with him. Girl, you need trophies. You need free vacations. You need free diamond jewelry. You need all kinds of cool shit for putting up with his ass. Girl, my hat goes off to you. Hell no, I couldn't be married to him for 5 goddamn flipping minutes. And because he's everyone's boyfriend or everyone's husband, he would get out of that bed at 2 o'clock in the morning from laying next to his wife and go put his clothes on and go rescue somebody else because that's how he gets off. He has to feel important. He has to get admiration from other people. Oh, wow. You went and got cookies for this person at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's pretty awesome of you. No, it's not. It's stupid. Don't feed his ego. Okay? Because it's already gigantic. Narcissists will argue, even if they have no experience with that particular thing, they will still argue you to the death because they have to be superior. They have to one-up you. If you climbed a mountain when you were a kid, they climbed Mount Everest and fell off of it and survived. They have to one-up you and make themselves bigger than you, like a puffer fish. Puffer fish deliberately makes themselves bigger to reduce their chance of being eaten by by a predator. Narcissists do the same thing. They're puffer fish. They have to make themselves look bigger, stronger, smarter. And when they argue something that they don't know what in the hell they're talking about, they make themselves look 1000% brainless. But they're not smart enough to know that. They just keep arguing. Good God, you got to be kidding me. So when you see this horrible behavior, honey, it doesn't get any better as time goes on. It gets worse and worse and worse. Another thing that they do is they will get pissy out of nowhere, nasty pissy attitude out of nowhere. And then when you get mad that they got pissy because they were out of line, and you had the right to get mad because they're acting stupid, as always, you get mad and go off on them. Then they want to flip it and say, I knew we weren't going to get along today. I knew we were going to end up fighting today. Mind you, they started it. Grounds for dismissal. If something is more important to that person than you are, they said they were going to call you. I'll call you tomorrow when you get off work. They don't call you. You end up calling them. This is not an unusual thing. They start making a habit of this. Hey, I thought you were going to call me when I got off work. Oh, I was too busy watching TV. You know what that means? That means I would rather do this than talk to you. And if I'm a big mosquito in your life, I'm just a pest. Let me go ahead and extricate myself out of your life because I don't want to ruin your life. And me talking to you or you talking to me is just not really a priority for you. Now, this is what men in particular do who are intentional. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You look at doctors, lawyers, professors, firefighters, police officers, a lot of people with it, within professional type careers, 9 times out of 10, they are married. You know why? Because it looks good on paper. Let's just be honest. It does. Men know that marriage looks good. He might not like his wife, but by God, he will get married. But for the men who do like their wife, okay, they are intentional. If they want to get married, let's just take marriage out of this situation for a second. They want to build a house. They make it happen. They do not sprawl across the bed watching TV. They do not sit on the back porch and drink a beer. They're very intentional. They purchase the land, they get the material, they hire the company, whatever they have to do to get this house built, they make it happen. They are intentional. They are not a slacker. They do not sit on their ass. They make it happen. It is from day one to day of completion, that's their goal. If after they get their house, they decide, I would love a life partner to help fill this house. This house is pretty lonely without me. He's already hit skins. He's already bent everybody over in the town or whatever. And he knows it's an empty existence. Mature men who are not ruled by their penis, they know that that is an empty existence. It's a hollow existence. Even Dr. John talked about that. He is a man and he loves sex just as much as the next person, but it's empty existence when you're banging everybody with no real intentions. So you have a person who does have intention and they got their house and they want to fill it. They want a wife and a dog and a cat and 2 kids. They are intentional. No doctor, no lawyer, no professor, no professional type man who wants a wife sits on his walnuts and does absolutely nothing. And maybe I'll date, maybe I won't. And I should call her, but I won't because I'm watching TV. Nope. Nope. No. They find somebody that they click with and they date and they're consistent. She doesn't have to wonder, does he like me? Does he not like me? He hasn't called me. He said he would, but he didn't. That means that man is not intentional. That is grounds for dismissal. If he's lackadaisical about you, a smart man knows that if he jacks around with the person that he supposedly is so into, he knows that somebody else can step in the picture and take her away from you because you ain't serious no damn way. So a guy who has a brain in his head and he finds the lady that he really, really is drawn to, he's going to snag that. He don't want her to be taken away. He doesn't want to be dismissed. He's going to be intentional. And eventually, he will get a ring, and eventually he will ask her to marry, and eventually he will get married, and then they will start popping kids out and get a lassie dog or whatever else they're going to do. There's no lackadaisical sitting on your ass twiddling your thumbs. There is absolutely none of that. You will be hard-pressed to find a professional person who isn't married, especially men. They are intentional. You don't find very many single doctors, very many single lawyers. You just don't. You just don't. If a person is argumentative, if they are not intentional, if they make you feel bad every time you talk to them or every time you're around them, or you have to suppress who you are because if you don't hide your personality and just sit there like a log, there's going to be fighting because that person needs to dominate you. These are all reasons for dismissal. Not to mention can't be loyal, not to mention screaming and yelling at you because loving people don't do that for no reason. They don't just scream and yell and try to hit you or they do hit you. These are grounds for dismissal. Cheating, grounds for dismissal. You do not marry this person and we're going to just keep popping kids out until our marriage gets stronger. That's a very bad idea. You get rid of their ass in the beginning. When you see signs and you see a pattern of behavior, you get rid of them then. Grounds for dismissal. And if your partner is a loving person and they did talk to you in a tone that wasn't very nice, a mature person would say, babe, I'm sorry I snapped on you. I don't know what I was thinking. I got a lot on my mind right now, and I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, and I'm sorry. That's what mature adults do because nobody's perfect. You will say something that hurts someone, or you will talk in a tone that wasn't necessary, but you have to own up to that and say, hey, I think I raised my voice at you earlier today, and I didn't mean to do that, and I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. That's what a warm, kind, loving person does. They don't get off on arguing you about every damn thing. I can't stand that. I cannot stand that. Especially when I know more about this particular thing than this person does. You don't want to argue me. I know too much about that. So if I were you, I would just zip my lip and sit down. Yeah, I would just shut up if I were you. Shut your pie hole. I remember one of my friends, and she was a young know-it-all. You know, she was younger than myself and my other friend. But she knew everything, and she just got so much life experience, and she doesn't, but she thinks she does, and she just drove us crazy. She loves Amber with every part of her being, and she said something incorrect about Amber, and I corrected her, and she argued me. She said, sap is what the insects get trapped in. I said, no, it isn't. She said, yes, it is. No, it isn't. Sap. Let me see. I'm trying to think now. I'm getting confused. Sap is what nourishes the tree, and resin is what the insects get trapped in. The clear stuff that comes out. And sometimes it's not clear. It's why it's, there's different shades of amber. And she argued me to the death. So I proved her wrong online with a professional site that knows all about that, because she will argue you to the goddamn death. Okay? We went to a jewelry store, and she said, and of course they're vibrant colors and this and that, and she said, none of those stones are real. I said, this is a high-end jewelry store. They don't have cubic zirconia in here. Those stones aren't real. So, instead of arguing with her, because she's a know-it-all, I asked one of the salespeople, I said, can you please explain to her that these are genuine stones? And he said, oh, yeah, we only deal with genuine stones. I said, thank you. And I turned around and walked away. She isn't a narcissist, but she's just young and arrogant. I know everything. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, you don't. So because she's not a narcissist, I didn't dump her, but we had to correct her a lot of times because she's just, I don't know, she's just really out there. Doesn't know much, but doesn't want to let you know that she doesn't know. So she wants to argue you to come off, I don't know, like she's smarter. It's just insecurity, I believe it is all it is, People being late, this is very subtle, but it's grounds for dismissal. You're supposed to go out with someone, and yes, I've been through this. You're supposed to go out with somebody. You agreed to a specific time. That fool decided to start a project that would make him late. Why would you start a project knowing that you're supposed to meet somebody and knowing that this is going to be an involved project that's going to be time consuming? Why would you do that? I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because he actually is a narcissist, and he talked about himself the entire time we went out, and it was just, he was on a date by himself because he kept admiring himself, okay? Bragging about these accomplishments that are probably not even real accomplishments, but in his mind they are. I don't really give a shit about what sports you did, how good you were in those sports. I don't care, but he's empty, so he doesn't have anything to sell you on. He's going to sell you on a pipe dream in order for you to be more attracted. That doesn't work with me because it's obvious what you're trying to pull. People who have real accomplishments, they don't even talk about it unless that comes up in conversation. And they don't do it in a braggadocious way. They just do it in a way of, yeah, I was involved in that, and, I did it for 20 years and eventually became a supervisor because I had all that experience under my belt. None of that sounds arrogant. That's just the way it happened. But with him, it sounds arrogant. And I didn't say anything about being late. I just put that in my mental Rolodex. Like, okay. The reason people do things like that is, especially if you're going to be meeting them for the first time or you just started dating, the reason they do that is because they're a narcissist, usually inconsiderate narcissist, because somebody who really likes you is going to bust their ass to be there on time. I really like this person. I'm excited to see them. Holy crap, let me calm down. Whew, I gotta breathe. I'm really excited to see this person. Ooh, I gotta get it together. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Okay, you're excited. You are damn sure are not going to start something to make yourself late when you're looking forward to going out with this person. So something is wrong with you right out the gate when you're deliberately going to make yourself not be on time. You're doing that shit on purpose, okay? It's passive aggressiveness. It is, I'm an idiot. I'm a narcissistic, inconsiderate idiot who doesn't value you or your time. And I'm going to establish my little narky rules right out the gate. My narky rules are, I'm going to do what I want when I want, and we're going to start this in the beginning. And I'm not talking legitimately late. You were stuck in traffic. There was a car accident. Duh. Of course you're going to be late. But you call the person and you let them know. That's not a project you started on purpose. Oh, there's an accident on James Street. Let me take that route so that I can be late. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's obviously not something the person did if it's an accident. But this fool did it on purpose. It's passive aggressive. It is establishing my ignorant behavior in the very beginning. This is how it's going to go down. You're going to be irritated by me a lot because I'm going to do what I want when I want. Grounds for dismissal. Grounds for dismissal. The arguing constantly is a big one. It's a huge one. That is who that person is. They are toxic, toxic, toxic. I mean, who the hell wants to exhaust themselves by arguing with an idiot all the time? Let's just be honest. Who wants to do that? A smart person who isn't a narcissist, and you say something about, yeah, this particular stone, the only place in the country it's found is here, you know, this, that, and the other, that person's gonna say, if they're smart and they're not cocky, arrogant, and a narc, they're gonna say, really? I didn't know that. There's a blue stone with slightly metallic matrix in it, sometimes depending on the specimen of the stone. It's called lapis lazuli, and the only place that it is found, so far as I know, is in Afghanistan, and it's just a pain because you have to have permits and licensure and everything else in order to go there and, you know, retrieve that material, harvest that material. A person who isn't a smartass, narc, toxic fool is going to say, oh, really? I didn't know that. Do you have a picture of the stone? I'd like to see it. Well, it's blue, and it's, you know, this. Oh, blue's my favorite color. Let me check that out. Really? That's neat. That's really cool. Or if they're not into stones, they'll just say, oh, that's the only place it's found in the world? Yeah, that's the only place it's found. Oh, wow, cool. And it's hard to get permits, and it's hard to go in there because of the political climate. So it's not like you just go there and get the stones and you're good. It's you know, if it's got political unrest, you don't want to go in there, and it's just potentially dangerous to go in there and get what you need, and it's just not, you know, potentially not good, not a good situation. Smart people don't have any problem saying, I did not know that. That is cool, or that's interesting, or, huh, okay. Smart people like to learn. They want to be smarter. And vice versa. They may tell you something that you didn't know, and you would have the same response. Get out of here. Really? That's awesome. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to research that. People have told me things that, of course, I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything. If it's intriguing to me, I have no problem saying, tell me that again. Sometimes I have to write it down because you know me, I'm not going to remember. And I'll say, okay, let me write that down because I want to research that later. That sounds interesting. And I'd love to see pictures of it. So that sounds cool. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to say, you're wrong. That's another thing. Oh, Jesus, help me, Lord. Somebody constantly telling you how wrong you are, that is grounds for dismissal. Grounds for dismissal. Happy people, healthy people do not Do not do that. They don't. They just don't. Okay? A toxic narcissist will tell you, you'll tell them there was a train derailment in such and such a place. No, there was not. You're wrong. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you go look it up on in the news? A lot of times they hate proof. That's another thing that narcissists do. They hate proof. They don't want proof. They don't want solutions. They just want to argue. So if you tell them, watch the 5 o'clock news, it'll be on there. I'm not watching that. I don't have to watch that to know it's wrong. Okay. Yeah. It's time to distance yourself from this individual. It don't get no better, babe. It don't get no better. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And worse. They don't understand how to communicate. They just don't know how to. They just don't get it. They're toxic. They're sick. There's no medicine for that. Their brain is just wired weird because they have a disorder. So, I mean, your best bet is to sever ties. It's not going to get any better. This is what your future looks like. You don't want that. And when you're stuck with someone who is garbage, you're shutting the door to people who potentially are healthy and don't act like that and would never act like that because they don't want their partner to feel like crap. Okay? When you're dealing with this waste of space, the door is shut for somebody to come in who's actually good for you. Do not put barricades in the road to block good people from getting to you. Make sure the door is open and you shut the door to this loser over here or these multiple losers, however many losers you have in your life. Get rid of all of them. You don't owe anybody anything, especially if they have no respect for you. You got to give yourself the love that other people cannot give. Okay? And if somebody is serious about you, talking about relationships, if somebody's serious about you, they are intentional. They do not want you taken off the market by someone else. They're not going to play stupid games. They're not going to be late on purpose. They're not going to sit there on the first date and brag about, practically pull out a resume of all of their accomplishments. Nobody cares about that. That's all you have to cling to because personality-wise, you've got nothing. The hell out of here. I played soccer. I almost went professional. I don't care. Most people aren't going to care about that. Women don't give a shit about your stupid hockey or your soccer or whatever. She don't give a shit unless she's into sports. And you ain't supposed to be talking about that no way. If you're a real person who is healthy, you would ask her about herself because you want to know about her. You don't want to sit here and have a brag fest. You want to ask her questions to get to know who the hell she is so that she doesn't turn out to be a toxic person and you got involved with someone who's a monster too. So he's going to want to ask you questions about yourself and stop. He's not going to want to brag. Let me spend an hour bragging about all my accomplishments and how I was going to go professional. I don't care what you was going to do, fool. You didn't do it. Get the hell out of here. Anyway, I love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.